Black Friday, and welcome to the Earthborne Games podcast. I'm Anders Carlson, and joining me is all three amigos. Andrew Fisher. How are you doing, Andrew?
Oh, I'm pretty good. You can't quite tell from the view on YouTube here, but I am in a complete disaster zone at the moment, actually. So,
oh no, your lighting is not quite as nice as usual.
No, so here, if I lift it up for YouTube viewers, you can see the absolute trash heap behind me. It's
yes, we got boxes and plastic wrap everywhere.
I finally got a sit-stand desk, like one that goes up and down, and as part of it, kind of revamped my whole desk setup. So I just built a desk, and all the like boxes and everything are all around me from building this thing. But like, I still don't have a couple of like the key components for like all the power management and stuff, like cable management I was going to do underneath. So because I'm still waiting on those.
Oh, do you need like a power strip to be fitted underneath the desk or something, so it's never pulling on cables as it goes up and down or something?
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna like mount everything underneath so it's all like clean and you can't see any cables.
Nice.
Right now you can see every cable. It's like I'm just like draped in cables. So I kind of feel like I'm coming to you from like a junk planet in Star Wars right now. Like, you know, a droid's gonna wander by or something.
That'd be cool.
It would be. And also joining us is Evan Simonet.
Hey, you said amigos, and it reminded me you should share with the folks on the Earthborne fan channel your Feliz Navidad video. That I think it's great. That music
Thanks,
video
Evan.
you made with your
A couple
friends.
years ago, me and my band members, we did a cover of Feliz Navidad, and one of my friends just had a baby at the time, and he's holding his son in one of those baby carriers the whole music video. and here in the Midwest, we have this taco place called Taco John's, and do you guys remember the Christmas jingle on the Taco John's commercial, which is basically the song Feliz Navidad, and then at the end of the song they just tack on "and from Taco John's." so we just covered that song and then added the Taco John's. So in the music video, we're singing and we go on a little trip to Taco John's, and it's a good time.
I was gonna say you spoiled the ending, but I suppose
true.
some people might not know and might not understand if they don't have a Taco John's in their area. So
just look up Feliz Navidad Taco John's. I'm sure you'll find it.
And when you say a baby carrier, you mean like the baby Bjorn, carrying the baby on his chest kind of situation?
Yeah. Kind of like The Hangover, the Zach Galifianakis character.
Oh, yeah.
Which we weren't going for that, but thanks, Evan. Thanks for reminding me of that. That was a fun one. Recorded it all on my iPad, so when you're watching it, be amazed at the cinematography. I just remember holding an iPad in Taco John's, filming them. It was fun.
The classiest music video.
Yeah. Also joining us is Andrew Navarro, who had a harrowing journey to get here.
Oh my
tonight.
Gosh, it's been quite the couple of days. Let's just say that culminated a few minutes ago with getting a flat tire in my car, and that kind of somehow tipped me over into this space of very weird physical and emotional feelings, and now I'm doing this podcast.
Is it
so we'll see what happens tonight.
Is it something akin to a panic attack, or is it something good? It's a good thing. I
It's
can't
good.
quite figure out what you're trying to
Yeah.
explain.
Exactly. Yes, precisely. It is.
Maybe you'll be able to describe it tomorrow, and I'd like to know. So please tell me.
No, I'll. So I'm going to do my best.
So everyone just assess Andrew throughout the show.
That's right.
See if you can help us figure out what's going on with this guy.
Yeah, that's going to help a lot. Everybody judge Andrew.
Yeah. Well, this is the podcast to do it. This is the podcast to do it. Like I said, I feel like I might come across as a completely different person on this podcast tonight. We'll see. Not everyone will be disappointed if I don't, but we'll see how it goes.
I can't wait to see what that means. What is a different Andrew?
Can't even better.
Better. Can only be better.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've got a bunch of questions this week. Got some good ones. Let's start with one from Darren, a great question asker. Always comes through with some questions for us. And he asks, what's the motivation behind the hexagonally tiled square grid in the valley map? Was there ever any gameplay functionality for it, or is it purely aesthetic?
Yeah, the short answer is it's purely aesthetic. Because the valley map is really, you just reference it for moving from location to location and what path you're taking and how that is going to influence the path tech you construct. The long answer is early on in the development of the map, I got really invested in this idea of making it this in-world piece of Earthborne like tech. I wanted it to be like a smart map in my mind, and I kept thinking of like an Etch-a-Sketch, and in my mind I was imagining this like smart map had this the smart paper had these like microscopic channels that ink would flow through from a reservoir and populate different tiles or squares on the map based on where the user was, to show kind of the surroundings, and it would just live update. And all this stuff was happening in my mind, but ultimately there was no way to really convey that idea in a way that made sense without making it look like insanity. It just need to be it need to be like a motion graphic, you have to be animated to really convey that idea. So and I like to think in my own head canon lore, unofficial lore, that there is a smart map in Earthborne and it does that, kind of like live populates around the paths and locations. But ultimately I ditched the idea because we were so early on in the game development anyways that I didn't want to step on any toes establishing something that wasn't really and Andrew would probably just look at it and be like, this isn't really coming across as anything that makes sense. So I ended up
that sounds just like me, Evan.
no, that was
what a dick.
That was how I
like
that's what I invented in
every
my head.
meeting.
No,
Everything is shown to me.
You're not like that. But you know how sometimes you just have like a construct in your head of a response.
Yeah,
but it's really just your own thoughts
exactly. Yeah,
fighting you. So that's what it was. And I just went for a more traditional hand-drawn map look, which I'm really happy with. And I kept the staggered grid because I thought it was just a neat way to set the map apart from a traditional gridded map or your D&D hex maps. The only thing is I don't really know what the esoteric meaning behind a staggered grid would mean in the Earthborne world, where a hex grid in D&D, each hex perfectly represents like an increment from any angle, like a mile or 10 miles or 100 miles, and it's a great way to plot and chart travel.
Well, so I turned those small squares into each one of them being a square mile.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and it really is. It is a grid. It's just the grid is highlighted in a way where it looks staggered, but it's a grid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, didn't you in the vertical slice map? Didn't like the grid like further tessellate into like smaller pieces too?
That's what I was trying to explain. In my mind, the more explored areas around paths. So like if the paths traveled through these cells, or when the paths traveled through cells, the cells that they traveled through would have more subdivisions and more detail, as though it's been more plotted or something. And then the spaces in between locations and paths were just larger grid increments because there's less detail to show the user, I suppose.
Yeah, like imagining yourself like walking through like a video game map as the fog of war kind of clears in front of you, and that there's still like these patches of emptiness in between the places where you've walked.
That's essentially it.
Yep.
Yeah, Evan, I definitely see your point about like that tessellation and stuff could look pretty wild on the final map with everything else it has going on. But I really feel like we should revisit that at some point because I thought that was very cool. I remember when I first saw your take on the vertical slice map, like that kind of like subdivision in the areas more detail really popped out to me.
Well,
I thought that was cool.
It's possibly something Corey could animate for some purpose, some marketing purpose.
Yeah. Or maybe when the video game adaptation happens, then we just do it then because it feels great.
Yeah.
For that.
So that's it. It's just aesthetic. That's the reason.
That's a great reason. I like that. I like hearing Evan answer a listener question.
Yeah, it doesn't happen too often.
You can do the rest. That's cool.
Yeah, give it your best shot.
Should we do an episode where I answer questions that I'm not informed about?
Yeah.
Like cold. I just do my
some
best.
improv. Yeah. I did something really stupid, and I saw some gum on the desk, and I popped it in, and then I saw myself chewing gum on in the camera, and I'm like, no, that's not good TV show etiquette. All right, it tasted great though. Next question comes from Daniel, and Daniel asks: as you were in the early stages of creating Earthborne Rangers, at what point did you, as creatives, think we've really got something here? Interpret that however you want, and it may be cool to hear your different perspectives within your roles at Earthborne. Great question.
Yeah, that is a good question. I think probably Andrew, you should start since
this
began with you.
Yeah, I think when I first read this question and now hearing it again, the same thing popped into my head. So it must be the time I thought it. Though there have definitely been I've had many occasions throughout development where I'm like, man, this game's really good. So that's a nice feeling to have. But I think the when it really sunk in that, this could be really cool, was when I think I've talked about this before in other podcasts, I think, or at least one other time, where I had a version of the game from the Saddlers that was very different from what we have now. That I had brought Brooks in to do development work on it, and I'd tested it out on Tabletop Simulator, and I liked it, and obviously I liked it enough where I was like, yeah, I think we're good to bring Brooks in to do some development work. But then I printed it out and played it physically, and I did not like it at all. And I was like, oh no, what has happened? It just was not doing any of the things I was hoping it would do, as far as like making you feel like you were actually walking around in the world. It was a little bit more like this. I think Adam described it as kind of like a world map view at all times. So it was very abstracted, the things you were doing. And it had like 3 different decks that were kind of like a plot deck in Lord of the Rings, and so they were relatively small, and they were at the top in front of you, and then they had pods of cards that each one of those sets would then contribute to a larger deck, and you need to draw those out and play them. And what you could do is you could complete any one of those 3 plots to like win the game. But it didn't really matter which one you did, and you could progress as far along in each of them as you possibly could until you finally got one, and then you completed it. But when you actually sat down to play it, like I felt like I immediately didn't have any idea of what I was supposed to be doing or thematically what was going on. And it felt all crazy. So I was then immediately like struck with this bolt of inspiration, and then spent the next several days just redesigning the game completely, and made it much more simulationist. Pretty much, the basic framework of what the game is now. Obviously, it's been refined a lot since. But the idea of, moving from location to location, travel, like actually walking down trails and encountering animals and people, and that's where the whole ecology came from, like where there was prey that got eaten by predators and all stuff like that, and and then Brooks later added the prey eating the flora. So so that's where that first came from. And I designed this caravan escort mission, and the whole goal was just to get the caravan from point A to point B without it being destroyed. And it was really fun. It was super engaging. Like it always came down to the wire. It created a lot of like cool interactions with the cards on the table, and I thought it played great. I was very relieved, and it felt really awesome. So that was the first time I think I was like, man, I think this thing is really cool. And then I handed it off to Brooks to help like put it back together, and immediately Brooks was like, this is a mess. I'm like, yeah, I know it's a mess, but I'm asking you to like make it not a mess so that we can play it. and then Brooks put that together, and we went from there. So yes, that was the first time I think where I was like, yeah, we got something. It was that interaction, it was those interactions between things, like seeing like trying to do something with a prey and having it like get jumped on and eaten by a predator was pretty cool. Yeah, and in that moment I was like, this is pretty sweet.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
Yeah, how about you, Evan? What was the spark for you?
I think it happened in stages. The first time was it was after Andrew, you and I have been talking, and you got me on board and just explained the setting and everything, and that was exciting because I know I don't have the exposure to tabletop games as you two do, but I definitely wasn't familiar with a setting like the one Andrew had described before I came on board. Next, I think it was just reading your card mechanics that had the flavor work like baked into. I thought that was really neat, and that just stuck with me. Where it was, like I can't think of an example at the top of my head, but it's like where it starts off with flavor text and then goes into the mechanical formula that you have to succeed at to do the thing you want to do on each card. That was that was cool, the approach or whatever. And then I think it just just the scene, the Kickstarter explode like it did, that was really that made it super real and inspiring for me, and exciting. And then ultimately I think just playtesting it in TTS and getting to a point, and this isn't really a spoiler, but there's a point in when you play the campaign where you just get a sense that you're actually let the reins are let go, and you can just there's a realization where it's like, oh, I can just do whatever I want, I guess. That's so weird. Like, I'm waiting for something to happen, but I just need to play the game, and then eventually stuff happens. It just reminded me of like Skyrim or something, which is I keep going back to Skyrim as an example because I love that game so much. And but when random things happen in Skyrim, and it's just so delightful. That's just what it felt like. so yeah, it's just it was staggered things happening in a row, and that just built the momentum up in me, my excitement and stuff and appreciation. So
cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think for me, I apologize if anybody can hear us squeaking in the back of my audio. My dog is really going ham on a squeaky toy back there. So hopefully that's not picking up.
I'll hear it.
No worries.
But for me, I think the moment that really stuck out to me is, like, I had met with Andrew, and Andrew had asked me to kind of come in and take a look at the game, and I kind of played through, went through all the rules, and kind of given a bunch of feedback. And
you destroyed those rules.
Yeah, sorry. So Andrew asked me to come on and help out. And I think came to with like what I considered just like my wild pie in the sky pitch. At that stage, Brooks had taken what you had talked about and kind of made these individual kind of scenario based clumps sets, and you could play a few different scenarios, and that was kind of the game. But like I kind of read these vision documents all about this like open world and everything, and like I just didn't feel that, so I kind of came to you with like, here's this wild idea. What if we blew up the structure of this and just made it an open world? And I kind of expected you to be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But you were like, yes, that's exactly what I want. And so like we kind of rapid prototyped what would become the vertical slice. And we tried out a bunch of different ways to kind of do the set mixing and matching and kind of the terrain versus the location card sets and how you mash them together. And we tried a few different approaches on that. And I think it was like day 2 or 3 working in your dining room. We had a play test using the kind of mix and match. And we were just like going around White Sky Lake in the area that people might know from our Kickstarter demo. And then like we kind of landed on something close to the terrain system we have now. And like it actually felt like we were going from location to location. And that was the moment like I kind of saw this potential of this really free form open world feel. And so I think that was like the moment that I thought of when I read this question.
Awesome.
Sweet.
I love hearing you guys' stories. That fills me with so much joy.
Yeah, me too. I still haven't had that moment personally.
We'll get you
we
there.
gotta get you to play.
No, I'm just kidding. I haven't played it obviously, but when I first saw Evan's the original box art with the ranger looking over the valley, I was like, oh, this looks like a cool thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Cool. Yep. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think Evan's art, it was a lot of people's intro to the game.
Yeah,
since it was our key art, and I think a lot of people clicked on it initially because of Evan's gorgeous art.
Mm-hmm.
Shucks.
Shucks. All right, our next question is from Nikki. It's not a question, but a fun comment. That's what Nikki says. About U.S. food when visiting from Europe. You do unhealthy food better than anyone taste-wise, and as I was in California for a time, the Mexican and Japanese food was way better than we have here. It's my first time reading this. Your portion sizes are bonkers, though. For most Europeans, you'll never finish a plate of food in the U.S., or if you do, you'll need to take a nap. Wow, that's a common assessment, isn't it? From non-U.S. people, non-Americans.
I mean, I don't disagree. Yeah, I think he's following up on our conversation about food after Andrew's trip to Italy last podcast. But
yeah,
I don't disagree. Our portions are wild, and like even you'll go to a restaurant, you'll get the lunch portion for lunch, and like there was jokes around the office when you went to certain restaurants nearby the office of like it's like, well, I'm not getting work done this afternoon because I ate that entire plate of food, so it's over.
It's true. If you go to like Applebee's or those bar and grill type of restaurants, it is insane how much food they give you.
Yeah.
I used to just eat it all, and I would just be stuffed all the time.
Yeah, it never felt good to do that.
No,
but it didn't stop me.
Well, I like those places where you can count on there being way too much food, because then I feel like it justifies the expense of going out, because you're like, I'm actually getting 2 meals out of this.
That's true.
That's true.
I'll just take the rest of this home. I could like Thai food is like one of the best. Thai food in the States is like one of the best like leftover foods of all time for me. I can stretch that out to like 3 days.
Oh, Thai food? Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, I was when you said that, I was thinking about when Sam and I ordered Thai takeout, and just because it's like, all right, this is 2 to 3 meals.
It's this giant tub of food.
Hell yeah. The Chinese place across the street, Bill's Garden, when they give you noodles in those Chinese boxes, it's like they can't even close it every time. It's like a dome on the top, and they have to kind of like latch it shut with the little wire handle. It's great.
Hang on,
it's
back
like 5
up.
meals.
What was the name of the Chinese place across the street from you?
Bill's Garden Gourmet
Bill?
Chinese. Bill, yeah. You know when like Chinese guys or whatever, I think it's like an old school thing. They like give themselves like an American name.
All of
Yeah,
the Chinese people I know have English names
Yeah, which I think is
or
dumb. Like,
some
make us
other
learn
weird
it.
name.
Yeah, make us learn it. Come on.
Is that a
Bill.
well-known restaurant? Because I thought I heard something about it. The original owner of a place.
It's a really
like
It's a really good,
retiring or something?
solid.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. It's a solid Chinese restaurant, though. Any other comments on the portion sizes here? Nah,
No.
move on.
I will say
It's
that
best not to think about it.
I did have a really good friend growing up who sadly passed away a few years ago. But his parents moved to America from China when he was like 3, and he did not have an American name. His name was Ning. But every Chinese person who I know who lives in China, they're the ones who have the English names mostly for business reasons, just to make it easier.
Totally, yeah. I was in Japan for some time, like teaching English, and yeah, they would do that, and I'm like, I'm capable of learning your name. Come on. And it was always like they had an awesome Japanese name, and then they'd be like, but call me Tom or Bill
Yeah.
or something. Yeah. Which it sounds nothing like their name. You think they would at least like have the same first letter or something? Like, no.
Like Shang-Chi and Sean.
yeah, totally. Sean.
Did they give you a Japanese name? Was that that'd be kind of cool.
No, I don't think so. No,
Maybe a nickname.
no, I didn't really know that many Japanese people when I was there. Unfortunately. Zoltan is back. Are you going to release STL files for the Ranger minis to 3D print them at home? I assume that's like a 3D printer file.
Yeah, it's like a 3D file,
Cool.
like an OBJ.
That's a good question. I feel like we've at least talked about this. I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast before, but
It rings a bell.
I feel like we need to figure out. I don't want to give them away because that'd be dumb. But if there's a way that we can sell them, then I think I'd be open to it.
Well,
Yeah, just sell them at a reasonable price.
when
Sell the file.
I worked at FFG, I was really into Legion, and I bought third-party terrain. And you could buy the STLs for like $5 or something, but you could buy the 3D printed terrain for much more.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, there's actually quite an interesting kind of homebrew miniatures market. A bunch of my Warhammer friends are into the kind of 3D printing scene, and they'll subscribe to these Patreons where basically these 3D modelers will just make all sorts of different minis terrain and models and stuff and give them to their Patreons as long as you're subscribed. Seems pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So Zoltan, we don't know if we will offer STLs, but I'm adding it to my list to look into what it would involve to sell files like that.
I think we'd be I guess I think that where those files are hosted is the big question, I think, and how they're delivered.
Yeah, a thing to keep in mind is that, like, for every extra service we offer on top of Rangers, you have to manage accounts and like bringing in money and accounting that revenue stream separately. And if it's like, if it might serve a couple people, but if it's pretty small, it could end up adding more work than it ends up really being financially worth. So we will investigate it and let you know, Zoltan.
All right.
We have a few more minis left in the set. We have a limited number of those, so if you want those, you can get those at the very least.
Cool. All right. Next question is from Static. Do you envisage?
I think they mean envision.
Do you envision or envisage this game having the support in terms of release content and cycles that other living card games have been given? Clearly the sales have to be there, but given the size of the team, is the plan for regular releases or just ad hoc expansions to the game?
Well, I think our plan is to have our releases be as regular as we can possibly make them. We're not going into it ad hoc. That feels like we're just kind of like making things up as we go along. Which, is true to a degree, of course, but then we try to put it in a schedule. So we have, I think, learned through working on the core set a lot about our timelines of what we can do with the size of the team that we have. So I think probably at this point, like a big annual release is probably the most likely thing. But if we experience meteoric success and are able to grow and bring more people on board, then yeah, we can totally do more. And I'd love to be able to at least do stuff maybe like every 4 months, 4 to 6. I think that would be nice to have substantial content in that period of time, but not monthly. I mean, even the FFG went away from monthly releases, so we had no problem there making that happen. It was just a lot of work.
Yeah, I think that to the cycles comparison, regardless of how much content we end up making eventually, it probably won't be presented kind of in that little piecemeal format. To Andrew's point about, like a yearly release or like every 6 months, I think the mainline content of the game is going to be presented in these kind of larger chunks to make it easier for you all to kind of keep track and just get the things you need to add on. That being said, we also do plan on doing some kind of like ongoing small support for people who want to engage in the game on a regular basis. And that's actually something I've been working on lately now that most of the core set files are done. And like, we don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but we do know we're going to have some kind of ongoing support and presence for those of you who are playing the game so that we can engage with you and give you kind of fresh things to kind of mix it up on a little more of a regular basis in between our larger content drops. So we'll have more information on that, but we do plan on, like, it won't be dead silence from us for that period between those products.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Fisher, because I feel like I think if we do experience like it's significant success, I feel like that is honestly where I think we should probably put even more of our effort is into that ongoing support, because I think that's really cool to just keep the thing that you have already interesting for as long as possible.
I think one of the interesting things about open world, like video games, is seeing all the ways people interact with them as they play it. And that's one thing I want to kind of capture here, is seeing the way you all interact with the game and giving you interesting permutations to change up those interactions. And so I want to create a system where you all are getting some new interesting stuff from us, and then we're hearing back from you about the weird things you're doing and like the unique stories that have been created in your game. So we do have something we are working on there for kind of that in between space between our larger content drops.
Alrighty, cool. And I just wanted to circle back to Nikki and say the one about the food. I appreciated that was a little curveball for us. Send us some more questions or non-questions that are like getting us talking about other weird stuff. I like that, because then I can talk. And then
there have been lots of good YouTube comments that we've just kind of read and be like, that's cool, or like we've commented on under the comments themselves. But we could start moving those to this section. That could be fun.
Yeah, a little discussion time.
Yeah. I actually challenge for the comment sections. Put in questions specifically for Anders so that Anders can talk.
Yeah. Just all Anders questions next week.
Yeah.
I'd like that. That'd be cool.
Yeah. All right. Can't wait to see those. Next one is from Jedge. DCHEDZ. Well, since we'll be getting a U.S. Thanksgiving week episode, why not a thematically relevant question for the podcast? Is there Thanksgiving in the Earthborne universe or other holidays?
Yeah,
There's that famous picture that you made there, Evan, where it looks like they're having some kind of feast, some
Oh
kind of
yeah,
holiday.
the thank you art
Yes,
for upon completion of the Kickstarter.
for
Yeah.
the Thanksgiving art.
Isn't that a picture of the fish fry on
Yeah.
the waning gibbous?
Yeah.
yeah,
That was the inspiration. Yeah.
yeah. I think so. Holidays and stuff in the setting are something we haven't really explored yet, but it's something that's always been in the back of my mind. And kind of like I've talked about this before when we talk about like story things happening in the world, how the everyday life can then lead to adventure. And I think a lot of that can also come around holidays and things, like you're doing a festival and things. There are festivals, and you can actually go to a couple of them in the game. But we haven't structured like a calendar of holidays for the Valley. Definitely like harvest things. I think they would definitely do stuff around both solstices. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's fertile ground to explore down the road. It's one of those things that I've always thought about, but it's like, it's not going to get in the game right now, so I should just think about something else.
Yeah.
Well, especially with this discussion of like ongoing support and permutations, I think like seasonal stuff in the setting is going to be a good area for us to explore with seasonal content in the real world.
Maybe there could be a Scooby-Doo style adventure that's in the Earthborne Halloween equivalent where, there's some sort of trick-or-treating event and, it turns into a whole mission. How about that? There's an idea.
And it was old man Wellers all along.
Yeah.
There's kind of a reverse Halloween mission that starts the game. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's true.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Reverse Halloween?
Reverse Halloween.
So you're walking around giving people candy? Whoops.
Yeah, more or less.
Everybody froze on me.
it.
I can't hear you guys.
Oh, Honors is
Oh,
frozen.
hello.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh no, Anders, you froze.
Okay.
You're back.
We're back. We're back on track. Let's just move on. Okay.
they're slowly turning the internet off at your old house.
Yeah.
Bit
Maybe you
by
guys
bit.
maybe you guys just didn't like say anything to what I said. Isn't that I think you guys are frozen. Like, no, actually we just had nothing to say about what you said.
This is awkward. We just didn't say anything. We're all sitting here in silence.
Oh, did you guys freeze? Yeah. Okay. Matt asks if we've commented on a PDF rulebook being available soon.
Oh, wow. What timing. What a great question.
Is that a plant? Are you Matt?
I don't think Matt is a plant, but I did specifically go pull this comment from Discord so that we could speak to it. So
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you couldn't. Yeah.
So yes, we've been working. So I've had just so much going on in my life, but we're so very close to getting this rule book out. Finished doing this is my work stories, but I'll just talk about it now. So we finished doing the last round of changes. Fisher's creative cloud has been melting down for the last 3 weeks, and that's been a nightmare.
It's fixed. It's fixed.
Yeah,
as
it's
of
finally
noon
fixed
today.
now that it's done. That's great. It's like, thanks.
Oh, no.
We've completely finished. So usually Fisher does all of the changes from the change. We have these elaborate change logs that keep track of all the things that we've done. And I don't know how many different spreadsheets of change logs we have. Maybe 20 or 30 is a lot. Is that too many? Is it less than that? It feels like a lot.
I think it's definitely between 12 and 20.
Okay, it's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of rows of changes. But this last one wasn't so bad. It was only like 30 changes. And then I implemented those, and that's the end. So all of our files are done, and they're going to be going off to the printer here within these next 10 days. So that's really exciting. So anyway, wanted to have a final rule book before we posted it. And that's why I haven't done a Kickstarter update for the last few weeks, because I've just kind of been waiting to have this rule book ready. But by the time you're hearing this, it should be up. So all backers should have already heard about it. You probably had a chance to read it already. Oh. And if you haven't, you can go to our website and find it there, or a link to it. There'll be a link to it in our latest Kickstarter update, which should be going out tomorrow, unless the flat tire I got totally derails me. Looks like I got that fixed tomorrow now. So,
yeah, I guess since we record this in advance, this is an anticlimactic question, not very climactic question, because everybody will be like, "Yeah, we've already seen it. Old news, rule book's out."
Well, not everyone pays attention to the Kickstarter updates. Even my best friends they ask me questions like, "Didn't you read the update?" They're like, "Yeah, I fell off of those."
Well, for those of you who just marked Andrew's email as read and didn't read it, the rule book is now available, so you can go to our website and check it out.
Where is it on the website? I'm trying to see it right now.
It's not there yet. It'll be up tomorrow.
Okay.
The thing that got in the way today was that we could not get the file size down. So I have some messages from Corey who I was like, "Do you want to try to get this file size down to see if we can have a non-gigantic PDF?"
I could just open the PDF and run my batch thing and turn every single page into a flat JPEG. That would get it real.
Yeah, that's true. We could just turn everything into images. That would probably do the trick. But I wanted to
people
try to
are going to want to pull text.
Yeah, well, I want you to be able to the text to at least be crisp and the images to look decent. And so far, hilariously, the best success I had with it was just opening up our print file and then running the reduced file size thing on it. So I was hoping to get the rule book out today and the update up today, but we have to get that file size down. So hopefully that'll happen. Hopefully we'll want to be able to get the file size down to a reasonable size, and then to get the Kickstarter update out to everyone tomorrow, and the blog post up on the website. And then it'll be up there.
I think one thing, I don't know if you've explored it or not, but I do recall the panorama background texture. It might be layered, and that's a considerably large file.
Oh no, I saved them out as I think I saved them out as flats of each.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
But I could double check that. That's a good idea.
It could probably be reduced to 300 because I think it's at 600 DPI. So,
well, everything gets compressed down to everything. The DPI gets compressed down anyway, so it doesn't.
Okay, guys, I want to save this from turning into a work meeting. Okay. Let's move on to let's move on to work stories. All right.
Let's do that.
So Andrew, you just explained one of your stories. What else would you like to share this week? We haven't talked for a few weeks.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess I'll go. Just finish up. We had an awesome meeting about the expansion last week. Was that last week? 2 weeks ago?
Might have been 2 weeks ago at this point.
I've totally lost track of time. So we brought on a new developer to do finish up work on the expansion, and we got together again for the first time in many months to talk about the story for the expansion, and kind of recapped where we had left off and what ideas we had, and then riffed on a whole bunch of new ideas. And I think where we landed was really pretty fantastic. So I'm very, very excited. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast much. I think we did, where we talked about we're effectively, the plan we had for the expansion originally, the story was a bit too long, so we chopped it in half. Made the first act its own, and the second act its own expansion. So we needed a satisfactory conclusion to the first act, and we were kind of lacking that still going into this meeting. And I think what we came up with is pretty awesome, and I think it's really it's really great sci-fi stuff, and hopefully, if we execute it properly, it'll be really affecting and memorable. So,
Yeah, and I think
Cool.
our new developer is Luke Eddy, and he's bringing a lot of cool expertise and a lot of cool new ideas to it. And so I'm excited to see how he wraps this up and implements that story.
Cool. Anything else
Nope.
you want to share? Okay.
That's it.
Fisher, you're next.
Yeah, well, it's been wild. As Andrew mentioned, and I think I might have brought up on the last podcast, I had ongoing technical issues with Creative Cloud, which is Adobe's service they use to kind of sync stuff. Everything I did, like, just bizarre problems. I created a brand new account, logged in on an entirely different device on an entirely different network. Like, nothing was the same anymore, and I was still having these problems. So I thought, like, am I just doing something? Is it user error? And this problem has been haunting me. I've talked to so many tech support people, and I kept getting escalated through like tiers of tech support, and then finally got in touch with like the latest escalation person on Sunday, and we did a remote session, and they controlled my computer for like 2 hours today, and they fixed it. So it is finally working. Knock on wood that it stays that way. But it's a huge relief because it's been kind of a hassle to not,
just baffling. It's been so baffling. I think that's been
it was
the
a really
worst
like
part.
I'm decently technically savvy, and like this thing has just completely baffled me, and it was a little edifying to see it baffle all of the Adobe support people too.
Who knew all you had to do was just pay for WinZip finally?
Such a simple solution.
Was that
That's great.
It's a relief that this is hopefully over. But beyond that, I've been trying to also continue work, and as Andrew mentioned, we were just putting the final finishing touches on the file. Our partners have been amazing too. As they're finishing up their translations, they really go over everything with a fine-tooth comb. And Ben and Andrea have been Ben from Frosty Games, Andrea from Fantasia, have just been phenomenal in going through everything and like helping us kind of iron out all of the creases here. So beyond that, one of the big things is we mentioned last time that we're hoping to have the TTS demo out by the end of this month. I think we can hopefully still hit that next week and get the TTS demo to all of you. If not next week, then very early in December, if not by the end of this month. So that's the other thing we've been kind of working on is we have to kind of trim down the content to our demo size and make sure that everything kind of makes sense. Because in an open world, like we can put up walls, but like we have to cut you off from being able to get missions that go outside the little playground for the demo and stuff. And so there's all sorts of considerations for how we trim the content down. So I'm working on that. And also been testing a bunch of our new content. And that's one thing I wanted to mention, which was a slight call to action for people, is our testing lately has been a little light just because we don't have as many people participating in our expansion testing. And we have a few like solid, reliable testers who know the game really well, but we still need more kind of new eyes type people. So if you're interested in testing, feel free to reach out to the info@Earthborne Games email. It might not be for this exact round of testing, but we are going to be ongoing testing content for Rangers, and I need kind of continuous fresh eyes to check out the game and be able to give that perspective that isn't the like veteran player. So please reach out if you're interested in playtesting. And that's about it for me this week.
You talking about eyes just made me start thinking about the eye maker in Blade Runner. Just eyes. I only do the eyes. Just eyes. It's a creepy scene.
Yes. It is very creepy.
Evan.
Yeah. kind of the same for me. I've been beginning to make assets to help facilitate the art for the expansion. It's been a little bit time consuming. There's been a lot of delays on my end from having to watch the baby and stuff during work hours.
Yeah.
But I have so back in August, I think it was, Andrew, you forwarded me an email from a art studio that reached out to you and who makes assets like art illustration work for board games and video games, and you'd forwarded them their message to me, and I finally reached out to them a couple weeks ago, and the person wasn't mad at me for like ghosting them for so long. I was just so busy with the core set that I just didn't have time to reach out to them and start developing a back and forth. But I am going to be beginning commissioning art for the expansion, starting with this studio, which is new for me because they're an external art studio that makes art, and that'll be an interesting process. And I'm excited by the interaction with them, and really looking forward to working with them. So I think in early December we'll have the first handful of pieces for this upcoming expansion finished, and yeah, we'll go from there, I suppose. Beyond that, I've been just here and there. I've been helping a graphic designer from Frosted just answer some questions and do some things, and with some of the files for the core game, but that's pretty much all behind me. So that's it. I mean, not much to report. Just looking ahead.
So working with a studio, how is that different than what you've been doing?
Well, so I'll have a point of contact with the studio, and they disseminate feedback to artists. They're like an artist collective, and they'll produce art for us. So that's as much as I know at this point. But I know that this studio has worked with other pretty well-known tabletop companies in the past, and so I have a lot of confidence in what they can do.
Cool.
Do you think it'll be easier having that singular point of contact who can kind of communicate the vision, or will it be harder having the extra node in the game of telephone?
I think as long as I provide them with clear feedback and expectations, and give them as much information and reference material as I can get, I'm certain it'll be comparable or maybe even better, than some, than interactions with it's just other artists, I suppose. Probably the same, probably just as easy. I'm not sure. I'll let you know.
In my experience, the most difficult thing at times is with studios is because you're really relying on that point of contact, because they have to interpret your vision and then take that to their team. So they need to make sure. So you need to be on the same page with them as to who is getting the work, and you need to trust that they know their team well enough to know their own strengths and weaknesses, and whose styles best work with what we're trying to do. And I think that's usually the mark of a good studio, when you don't really have any issues like that. The art just comes back and it's awesome. Sometimes though, I've definitely worked at places where they just assign people by the rate that you pay. So, we have the artists who we give the high paying jobs, and they get this stuff. And then if it's lower, then these guys get it. And there's really no way to tell on their portfolio who is who, apart from just intuiting it. And oftentimes they just put their best work in there anyway, so you don't necessarily know what you're going to be getting. So that's the most challenging thing typically I've found in the past. But once you get it going with the studio, it can be nice and smooth because you have that intermediary there, and it's very professional.
Yeah, yeah.
Sweet. Alrighty. Sounds like you guys are getting in the home stretch every week. Let's talk about some things that we're into now. And I'll start. I'm still playing Marvel Snap. I know you.
I think all of us except Andrew are playing Marvel Snap.
Have you dipped your toes in at all, Andrew?
No, I don't like playing things on my phone. It's just
Oh,
I try to not use my phone as much as possible.
isn't it? Is it on like Epic or something too? I feel like I've seen people play it on desktop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
you can.
these are the two things I try to avoid: is like playing games on my phone and on my computer, because I'm on my computer all day. When I'm not on my computer, I'm on my goddamn phone. So, like for recreation, I'd like to do something that involves neither of those things. I upgrade to the largest screen
This isn't recreation.
in my basement.
Hey, iPad, huh?
Yeah,
Can you do
sometimes iPad's fine too.
Get it on iPad.
No, yeah, I know. I should try it out. It sounds cool. Everyone's love like my
Yeah.
kids are. Their friends are all excited about it. Everyone's playing.
Everyone's
snapping.
I've got like 3 or 4 text message threads going where I just, have you seen this card yet? Oh my god, what the hell is this? It's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun.
what
Everyone's
collection
doing it.
level are you, Anders?
Collection level? I know that I'm
You're not into Snap.
me. Oh yeah, yeah.
What deck are you playing right now? What cards are you using?
I have a few decks that I go in between. My favorite right now is my asshole deck, which is like
I haven't heard of that Marvel character.
it's all the cards that like screw over your opponent, So there's like
yeah.
Scorpion and
the best
you know,
ones.
the main one, Hobgoblin. Yeah, all the ones.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Ooh. I don't have that one yet.
Collection level.
Yeah, I think that's
I think I'm like in the mid 300s.
okay.
Maybe
Yeah, I
around
think you're
400.
in pool 2.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you guys have the credits to unlock all those cards. I've run dry. I don't know how to get more credits.
I just look for when there's like a red pop up anywhere, and I click on it until things happen. You know what I mean? it'll highlight the missions or something. I'll click on it. It'll give you credits, and then you go.
Huh. Yeah,
highlights cards, and then you.
Oh, does it
I know.
suggest activities for you to get more credits?
They
there's
give you
missions.
like daily missions type
Yeah.
thing,
Oh,
where
dailies.
like
Of course.
you get dailies.
You got to do the dailies. You're doing your dailies, Evan.
I have been, but I think I might be doing something
work harder.
in the whole unlocking cards process that is slowing me down. Like, I don't know what it is, but I pretty much upgrade every card
Yeah.
all the time.
Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah.
You should just be getting new cards instead of upgrading your existing ones.
Well, that's the only way I know how to get new cards.
When you upgrade it's a weird
Yeah.
thing. You upgrade a card, and then that
You
allows
get points
you to
to
get
yeah.
cards.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's a great game. I play it on the toilet. I play it, when I should be working. I go sit on the toilet at work and play it there.
You just got that job.
But that's
if you knew the
one of
job,
the beautiful
you'd
things.
understand.
That is one of the beautiful things about Snap is it plays so fast that it fits into all sorts of parts of your life that other games can't.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't start a Hearthstone match or definitely a Magic Arena match while I'm waiting for my like doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
Because they might call me. But Snap, sure, why not, right?
Yeah.
Like
and if
worst
you gotta
case,
go,
I'll retreat.
yeah, you lose one point, 1 XP or whatever. It's really fun. I don't know how long it'll stay fun though. Do you guys feel that way?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
Like it kind of it gets a little old sometimes.
Yeah. At a certain point, I know there'll be a point where I'm like, I'm done. Time to move on.
Yeah, but the new cards keep it interesting. I'm like, oh, how could I
fit this into my deck?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, how about you, Fisher? What is your deck? What is your favorite?
Well, I've been trying all these different like pool 2 decks. I do have an asshole deck as well, and I've been trying the move deck that everybody seems to like to play, where you move guys around and get things that buff from moving. But I keep going back to my old faithful pool 1 deck, just of like on
Moon Girl
cards with ongoing effects. and that
Oh, yeah.
buff ongoing effects. So like there's kind of cards that for people who haven't played it, there's cards that when they are revealed, when they're turned over, they do something, and then there's cards that have like ongoing kind of passive buffs. And so this deck stacks all the passive buffs and then also has things that buff things with ongoing buffs on them. And so that kind of layering just, and there's this card called Spectrum, and you can drop her at the end of the game and nobody sees like the amount of buffing she does coming.
Yeah, yeah. And when it's like paired with a location that also buffs her.
Yeah, that's the best when you get the right location.
That's the fun part of the game, is that every probably 20 games something really cool will happen. And if you know someone who's also playing the game, you can text them like, hey, I played my white tiger on the location that like, you know, makes it double and blah blah blah, and then my whole board was filled with tigers, and I suddenly, you know, like these little kind of fun novel moments are what really makes it keeps it
the
interesting.
randomized locations and like the multiplicative synergies that happen from them, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was telling Fisher on Discord that one of my memorable moments recently was solo Shang-Chi taking out 4 Hulks, I believe it was.
What is Shang-Chi? Oh, it kills the 9+ cards?
Yeah. So it was like
Shang-Chi can take out really big cards.
Yeah.
I think it was like 36 or 48 points of Hulk, and he took all 3 of them out. It's awesome.
I've never been able to use him.
It's great.
It's
I
rare.
love him.
It's rare that he's usable. Andrew.
Well, I suppose we could bring poor Andrew back into the conversation and talk about something other than Marvel Snap.
I think he's meditating.
No, keep going.
There's also
Keep talking about Marvel Snap. It's cool. I'm learning.
Yeah, is there anything? What more is there to say? It's got great card art. I love that. I think the upgrading system is kind of funny because like you get to upgrade the cards. That's like an incentive, and so it starts with just like a basic card, and then it's just flat looking, and then the next upgrade is frame break. It's a big moment. Frame break, and then the next one is.
Does it have does like a announcer come in and say frame break?
Yeah. So then the next one is 3D, and then the guy becomes 3D.
I have the sound off, so I don't hear all this stuff.
Oh, yeah, it's like the Halo multi-kills announcer, you know.
So
I love that guy.
So after that, it's animated, and it's slightly animated. So then there's like a long period where you're just only upgrading cards because you can only upgrade certain ones. So I was waiting, like, what's the next big like change gonna be once I get like 400, and I finally got it, and it was like shiny logo.
Shut up! I did not say shiny logo.
Oh yeah, no, and he says it. He's like shiny logo.
I'm such a pleb compared to.
Did you get to the next one?
Any shiny logos?
Did you get to the next one yet?
Yeah, animated frame.
How are you guys getting this far?
I play it all the time.
I play I play the game a lot. I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah, are you doing like the fast upgrades? How are you spending all your credits? I constantly max out my credits at 5,000.
Okay, so
and then
not to drag this out, but what? I get credits by doing missions, I guess.
Dude, we'll talk off the air.
And that's like a trickle of credits, and then I realized that gold bars to turn into credits at one point, and I burned all those. And
I don't know. Here's my tip: just look for the red on the screen.
Yeah, I do that.
Okay, yeah. I don't know what's going on then.
Stop spending all your credits on lattes and avocado toast, Evan.
Yeah.
You got to save
Thursday. You got to show me what
for
I'm
a
doing
shiny
wrong.
logo.
Yeah, I want a shiny logo.
But
I actually don't care about all that stuff. I just want new cards. That's all.
I cared at first. And then. So, have you gotten past animated frame?
No.
Sure?
No.
Oh yeah. I have. Or no, not frame. Sorry.
Animated frame. That's the like 5th step.
Animated background is what I've been. Where I'm at, I guess.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's like
animated background is one of them.
What could possibly be
animated background?
Well, isn't that after 3D? Isn't that what's the thing?
No, it's just animated. In general.
Okay. Well, it's just usually the background or like a little hair.
I don't know what else they could possibly do. Shiny everything.
Black and white.
Black and white.
Black to normal.
Black
traditional.
Start over.
On fire.
So dumb. It's a great carrot, clearly.
Well, one of the
Yeah.
beautiful things is that all of this progression, upgrading your cards, and then that increasing your collection level to unlock new cards, is all just from playing the game. So, like, you're not buying booster packs. It's not like
Right.
Skinner boxing you into spending money. It's just engaging you to play the game, which is kind of a nice change of pace from
Yeah.
these other digital
if you played
card
like
battlers.
an hour or two a day, you'd probably get 2 or 3 new cards a day. Would you say?
Yeah,
pretty good.
maybe more in the beginning, definitely, but it
way
slows
more in
down. Yeah.
I heard that in the beginning, you're playing bots for like,
I swear I was playing bots.
yeah, it's too easy.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And sometimes
Anyway,
they have names like Steve. That's not
That's
a real
not
person.
real.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I've been playing. And I was just going to ask, there's like a big Steam sale with some big deals, and there's a few games on there that I've never played, like classic games. I was going to ask you guys if you had a suggestion. So, Evan, you said you love Skyrim. I've never played Skyrim.
Oh man. Yeah.
Red
go for
Dead
it.
How have you
2,
never played Skyrim?
Oh, Red Dead 2 is amazing.
and then Horizon, the first one.
I haven't
I
played
would-
Red Dead 2, but I'd say probably play that instead of Skyrim. It
Okay.
just seems superior, even though I haven't played
It's a very either.
Even
I
though
think
Skyrim's my favorite game, but
Red Dead 2
play
is
the
one of
other
those
one.
games that I feel like you either love or hate.
which one?
Red Dead 2.
Oh, why would I hate it?
I don't know. You might not. You,
it. 'Cause you don't
you
like
walk
Westerns?
really. You walk at a like your character moves at a walking speed.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's
to
fine.
me, that's honestly that's I think I've heard a lot of critics like really complain about that. I know that people really love it, but it's just a game that you go through at this like very realistic pace.
Yeah, I heard like when you open a drawer,
Yeah,
it's not just like bang, you got the thing in
you
the drawer.
open it,
You-
you take things out, you flip it over. Like it's
Yeah.
you're really like drenched in that world, and the art is phenomenal. So like it really holds up. And if you have a nice TV or like a good monitor, then it really comes out.
Mm.
I love that game. Skyrim is it's a much lighter experience. Red Dead 2 is pretty heavy.
Heavy, like violent and gritty.
heavy. It's just it's heavy.
Feels
It's
dark.
a heavy
It's-
story.
That immersion Andrew's talking about is like to these like indulgent levels where, like it's just Rockstar showing off, and like
Yeah.
feels very cool and immersive, but like it's not just like a popcorny game that you go and play like
Yeah.
you're immersing yourself in this person's life and in the Wild West, and
Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really loved it.
Cool.
I would definitely do that over Horizon Zero Dawn personally.
I've always wanted
It's more
to.
satisfying.
They're both the same price, $19.
Yeah. Horizon Zero Dawn is really great too. I loved the hell out of that game.
Mm.
And at the time I played it, I remember the day after I finished it, I had a meeting with Katrina, and just like who at the time was she's in charge of all of our fiction, which she is now though in a more like directorial role at FFG. And like I think I spent like the first like 20 minutes of that meeting just talking about how awesome that story was and like how
Mm.
refreshing it felt. It was very satisfying.
Are you talking about
So-
Red Dead right now?
No, this is Horizon Zero Dawn.
Horizon. Okay.
Yeah, it's also cool. The mechanics, though, I think it took me probably to the end of the game to get used to the combat of that game.
Okay.
Because there's no lock on, but it's all like 3D melee stuff.
Yeah.
So not having a lock on when I'm used to playing stuff like Dark Souls and any other character action game that's not like a Devil May Cry or something or a Bayonetta.
Mhm.
It feels like a game that should have lock on, and
It does,
just,
yeah.
It's really
Looks like
swimmy
it.
and hard to control for me.
Oh.
yeah, there's a bit more shooter roots in it than
Yeah.
just 3D action game.
Well,
Yeah, totally.
I'm going to go with Red Dead.
They're both good.
Go with Red Dead. There's also another amazing thing on there. You can get every Valve game in a bundle for $6.
That's not very many games.
What?
Not very many. No,
$6?
it's a lot. There's a ton.
That was a joke.
Oh, okay. For $6. Yeah, $6. So I'll probably just get Portal 2, which I've never played that either.
That's all right.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, it's all right. Everyone loves that.
Portal 1's better.
Really, everyone says Portal 2 just kicks it up to A new level.
They're wrong.
There's no way you're wrong.
Nope.
All right, let's move on to Evan's stuff he's into.
Well, I mean, I've been doing Snap as well.
Let's talk about it for another 10 minutes.
Yeah. I won't. I mean, I would love to talk about the deck I like.
What's your
Back
favorite?
out.
What's your favorite card?
I think it's Shang-Chi because
Oh, yeah.
Andrew's just reading now.
yeah. No, all I'll say is the deck I like is the one that where you sacrifice your own cards and they sometimes become better. You know.
Yeah, like
Ooh, yeah.
Apocalypse.
Those are fun. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
But the other game I just started playing, which is a departure for me because Anders, you probably know this about me.
I recommended this game to you.
Yeah, and I have a tough time following on making good on recommendations, but I finally did.
Yeah.
But I'm very. It's hard to get me out of my stupid little Final Fantasy box sometimes.
Yeah.
But I did it with Loop Hero, and is Loop Hero a roguelike? Is that I'm not even sure what kind of game a roguelike is.
It is a roguelike, yeah.
Okay, so this is my first roguelike, and I love it. It's great.
Roguelite.
It's
Okay,
a
well,
weird. It's a weird roguelite game, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It got
you
its
love
own
it.
hooks
Stretching
to
the
it.
definition.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm all right. So I
The
should
music
probably
is
play.
the music is phenomenal.
Oh
I
yeah,
love the
that's
music.
one of my favorite parts. It's like this dungeon synth or something,
Yeah, it's so
um,
good.
but like chiptune or
It's
I
like
don't
the
know
only
if
reason I want to go back to play it is to just hear the music.
yeah. Oh, and it's so there's like a subtle menace to the music sometimes as
Mhm.
your little pixelated character is trudging along on the
Yeah.
path. And what is really alluring to me is just the narrative, like, and how it plays into the mechanics of building a world and placing threats in front of your character. It's so
Mhm.
it's so upside down and sideways from what I'm used to.
Yeah.
Like you're I was very uncomfortable with how it played at first because you don't do anything other than watch your little person run into obstacles. And
Yeah.
you don't even fight when you get into fights. You just hope that the
Auto
equipment
battle.
you gave them works out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I got really into it.
it's kind of like it's almost like that same feeling you get playing a tower defense game. You're just like, well, I
For
hope my
sure.
defense has worked out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's a good analogy. Loop Hero feels much like many games in both the video game and tabletop space. These games that like take a magnifying glass to a single mechanic from well-established genres, and is like, what if we make our game just this one element? And Loop Hero is kind of doing like inventory management. I guess there's the like placing obstacles around the loop part of the game, but like it really zooms in on inventory management as like, can this hold up a game? And the answer is yes, basically.
Mhm.
Well,
Have you
the
beaten
whole
the Lich yet?
no.
The first boss.
I haven't. I'm not very far. I've only upgraded to the village or the campsite to have a blacksmith, a kitchen, and is it apothecary or something, or potion shop
Probably.
or something like that.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
pretty
know.
low.
It's been a while.
Pretty low on progress, but I'm invested in the story mainly. I'm very curious about it. I love.
Great pixel art too.
Yeah, it's great. It's super great. It's distinct.
gorgeous.
It's unique from what I'm used to seeing. So it's
It's
great.
always. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, and the color palette is very subdued. It's almost calling to old CRT monitors that ran operating systems that were only capable of 256 colors, but
Mhm.
it was done, intentionally, and it's cool.
Is that,
The color
I think
choices are interesting.
Yeah, really interesting.
I think you can choose a CRT filter on the game. Have you tried that?
Well, it comes with, I mean, by default,
Like
you have
if-
scan lines. Is that what that is? Or
Yeah. Oh, but it's by default. I
Yeah.
think you can like just put it on and off. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
yeah,
Well, I also love how they use the limited color palette and pair it with just darkness,
Mhm.
right? Like they use darkness throughout all of the art direction.
Yeah.
Like way more than most games are like willing to, right? And
Yeah.
When you say darkness,
really
you just
so
mean a
well.
flat black.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's just tons of flat black, and like
Yep.
some of the art like melts into the
Yeah.
black almost.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like the light. There's a very strong sense of light source in these very simple pixelated little tiles that represent spaces.
yeah.
It's super cool. Yeah.
If you
It's
like
pretty-
that, I'm gonna plug Dome Keeper once again. You'd like that as well.
Okay. All right. I'll get to it eventually. Maybe in 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, it'll still be good.
I feel like I have to play. I keep, given how much you've evangelized Dome Keeper, I basically have to play it at this point.
Yes, you do. It's not expensive. Play it.
It looks
You'll
really
like
fun.
it. You'll like it. It's a great game. Everyone would like it. All right, Fisher. What about you?
Well, we talked about my desk overhaul, which has been one of my free time activities. I felt like I should finish up. I should give the update. I mentioned, I think last time, that my friends and I had been playing The Quarry, which is the new game from the people who did Until Dawn. We finished. There is an act in the middle that like slows down a bit, but other than that, like it kind of fulfills the promise. The opening is incredible. It's great. The characterizations are amazing, and the ending definitely fulfills the promise of the slasher film. There's a little bit in the middle that like I was only okay, but without any spoilers, my update on how my group did is all of our characters died.
Whoa.
All of our characters died so hard we didn't even get to the final like chapter of the game where like the big final confrontation. We didn't even make it to the finale. We
Oh,
died
no.
so early.
Oh no.
It's a bummer.
And I think I mentioned that like you all choose characters and you hand off the controller to whichever person that character belongs to. Despite having 5 players all sitting around playing this game, every single death was due to decisions our friend Rico made. He is responsible for every character dying. He
So
was
you're
either
calling out
piloting.
Rico in public.
Yeah.
He was either piloting the character at the time, or the character he was piloting had a decision that got one of our other characters killed. So we were, at
Rico
the end of the night,
Jenkins.
we were, thanks, Rico, murder. So we might actually play it again just to
you say?
hopefully actually try to live through the story, or have one person
Yeah.
live through the story.
Good game. You recommend it?
Yeah, I do.
Sounds
I
fun.
think it's like the graphics are actually, there's an uncanny valley thing going on because it's so realistic, but like the graphics and motion capture are very realistic, and the performances are really good. And there's the same kind of publisher puts out these
Who made it or who published it?
I don't even remember the name of it off the top of my head, but they put out like this dark pictures anthology, these other games, and those have always felt a little stilted. But this one The Quarry feels a lot like Until Dawn, in that it's really feels like you're watching a movie, and like these characters feel very well written and well acted. And so yeah, recommended for a good couch co-op experience.
Cool.
The other thing I've been doing, which is actually more of a game than I realized it was going to be, is I picked up Duolingo because my friends and I are hoping to go to France next year, next fall. And I lived in France for a period back in early college, and have not spoken French since. So I am very rusty. My vocab is just atrocious now. So I kind of wanted to pick it back up. So I got Duolingo, and I'm kind of using it to, I don't know, resuscitate my French here decades later.
And your mom's a French teacher, right? So
Yeah, my mom is a French teacher.
so she could at least like speak to you in French, talk on the phone, and whip your.
I'm too embarrassed because she taught me when I was a kid. Well, so
she thinks you still know French. You haven't like.
No,
she says something, you're like, oh, oui.
Well, I can actually understand it pretty well still. It's the producing it. Like
I know the feeling.
Yeah, I can hear it and be like,
Yeah.
oh, I can figure out what you're saying. But then when I try to like conjure vocab, it's just
Yeah.
so I'm too embarrassed to talk to my mom. But Sam speaks French because the archaeological site she worked at was in the Dordogne region.
Okay.
So she worked there for like a decade, like every summer for like a decade. So
Oh, okay, cool.
She speaks pretty good French too.
Nice.
So we'll see. We'll see how I keep up with it. I've got a streak of like 5 days going. They like count your streak and really badger you, which I guess is a feature, you know, to like keep on it.
Mm-hmm. That's very gamified now. I've used it throughout the years, and it's evolved a lot.
Yeah, I was surprised at how kind of like how many game trappings are there with like achievements and levels and experience points and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I knew it was pretty like slick, but I didn't quite expect that like game like presentation.
Mm-hmm. And they want you to pay more now too. Used to be pretty free.
Yeah, they really heckle you with advertising the premium version. And it's funny because at the end of each little like round, they'll advertise the premium version to you, and one of the listed features is that you'll no longer be advertised the premium version.
Oh,
And so like they're basically just holding your time hostage to pay them.
yeah. Well, there's other ads, right? Just other.
There are, but like a lot of your time is watching ads for the premium version of the app.
Yep.
That would get the premium version that would get rid of the ads for the premium version.
Yeah.
You're just paying to make it stop.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah. Yep. All right. Is that everything, Andrew?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, Andrew too.
Yeah, so I have not played any video games in I think maybe over a month at this point. I keep thinking about it.
It's good.
I keep being called to play some more Fallout New Vegas. That's the one that's been kind of lingering in my mind, but I end up doing other things because I'm trying to do other things. But I have been continuing to watch Andor. As of this recording, the season finale is tomorrow. I've been still really enjoying that show. I was a little disappointed to learn over the course of these last couple episodes that it's not really going to likely resolve in any real satisfactory way. And so I'm interested to see what they do tomorrow to conclude the season. But I think it has some really great characters. I think it's been a very refreshing change of pace from most of the Disney Plus stuff I've watched. All the Star Wars stuff plus all of the Marvel stuff. It's very different. It has a very different feel and pace and vibe to it. And I've been enjoying it a lot. So look forward to seeing that tomorrow. 2 weekends ago, I went to a concert with FFG's own Nate French. He and I have gone to lots of concerts together. He invited me to go see John Petrucci on his solo tour. John Petrucci is the lead guitarist for Dream Theater. And so I've seen Dream Theater several times. This is the first time I've seen John Petrucci. It's the first time he's toured on his own. And man, it was such a phenomenal show. I love watching him play. He is just so good. So clean, incredibly talented. So many notes. We were trying to do like over under on how many notes would be played in the night. It was a lot. I don't know how many notes are in a single John Petrucci song, so it's hard to say.
Do you mean unique notes or just like
notes?
No,
like strikes.
Yeah.
It was probably around a couple 100,000, a million, maybe. Who knows? But also he also had Mike Portnoy on tour with him, who is the original drummer for Dream Theater, and he is easily one of my favorite, if not my favorite drummer of all time, and he was really good during the show. Like I was just blown away. He played drums on the album, but it was all based on John Petrucci's kind of programmed drum tracks that he did when he recorded the guitar parts. And since it's a guitar album, like Portnoy really kind of downplayed his usual flamboyant style. in service of letting the guitars come to the surface. But that was not necessarily the case in this live show. He improvised a lot. It was an incredible showman, and just really, man, you could tell that they've been playing together and rehearsing live because their chemistry was just fantastic. And their bassist was really, really good too. I forget his name, but he's played on John Petrucci's other albums and was also phenomenal. Yeah, so that was really great. It was a lot of fun. It was great seeing Nate hanging out. It was a good time. It was the first concert I've been to in like 3 years, so it was awesome.
Yeah, I really love when live bands or performers bring that kind of like jam mentality to the live show and like kind of add to the song and like have you play the song in a way that like you don't necessarily expect.
Yeah.
I've been to concerts where, you know, like basically you get the song as it was recorded and you're like, yeah, it's cool to see live, but like I really like when they bring like a new energy or vibe to the song when they do it live.
Yeah, there was one point in like a longer song where they just transitioned into Freebird for a little while.
Did someone shout it? Did someone shout it from the audience as they do?
No, it's just like it's just the beat started. I was like, wow, that sounds like Freebird, and then they just started playing it. So it's like you kind of got the sense that it came about the same way as they're playing. They're like, hey, you know what? That actually sounds like Freebird. Yeah, let's just fucking do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty awesome. And then I've like I said, I haven't been playing a lot of video games because I've been into self-improvement here this last month, trying to exercise more, trying to do more yoga, qigong, trying to meditate. I haven't gotten to the meditation very much yet. That's the one thing I haven't done. But back to exercising regularly, which is exciting. I got back from Italy and I weighed myself and I was like my lowest weight in a very, very long time. I know most people are like, oh, I weigh too much, but me, the sign of not exercising is that I lose. I have to really keep up my diet and my exercise regimen to keep weight on. So I was kind of alarmed to see how low my weight had dropped. So started eating better, which is good. And then, you know, exercising and, you know, doing all that stuff. And yeah, it's
good.
It's, you know, this isn't the right forum to discuss it, but man, this past month for me, there's been a lot of personal stuff happening that
really
has taken a lot of energy, but it's all positive. It's just hard to get work done when you're going through stuff.
Yeah. I hear you. I hear you. We're all going through stuff, right?
Yeah, totally. And that's what that'll be
the next episode. We're just going to talk about all the shit in our life. Vote below if you'd like to hear that.
Maybe that's a side podcast. The life podcast.
Earthborne Life. All right.
It'd be the non-Earthborne Life.
Yeah, I guess. All right, fellas. Is that the show?
That's a show.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It was great. Thanks, you guys, and thank you for listening, everybody. And send us those questions. It can be about anything, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.